take a look at here is how this scope and all of the Teeter's telescopes that are out there now have this Kendrick dew controller box on here. Now it's not just for dew control. This is where all the 12-volt power gets run through the telescope from the batteries to the various different components, so to the fans as well. Everything goes through this box right here. So I just want to describe how that works and where everything plugs in. What we're going to have first is the 12-volt power coming into the Kendrick box. We have a pair of alligator clips here, positive and negative. All right, and then they're going to plug into the battery, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what I want to explain here is how everything plugs into the box. So you have 12-volt power coming in, and then you have 4 ports on top here that are variable. So you could set the voltage to them to be higher or lower depending on how much power you want going to each dew heater. So if it's a very dewy night, you want to put the power up a little bit higher. So something like that, what you want is to have the dew heater for the filter slide, for example. So that when your filters are in the slide, they don't get dewed up. There's going to be another cable coming down this pole. It's not shown here yet, but that RCA cable will plug into one of these 4 ports here, and that'll be for the filter slide dew heater. The cable that's here, this is for the secondary mirror dew heater. Now this is something to be aware of. This cable cannot plug into these 4 here. It's just the nature of how that dew heater on the secondary mirror works. It needs constant 12-volt power. So in order to get constant 12-volt power, it has to plug into either port 5 or 6 down here on the bottom. Alright, and now we've got so much going on in this scope that I've had to actually split 5 and 6. So you actually now have 4 constant 12-volt ports. So this is going to plug in here. Alright, so now that's going to give the power to the secondary dew heater, full 12-volt from here, and that's actually coming out of port 6, which is split. Okay. Now the other split on port 6 goes to the fan on the back of the mirror. That's blowing on the back of the mirror to cool the mirror. So that's 6. Port 5 here is again another split for constant power. One is for the boundary layer cooling fans that blow across the face of the mirror. So that's this one here. And then this plug here is 12-volt power that's going to your Argo Navis digital setting circle box. All right, so that has to plug in right here. So that's very important. Just remember this from the secondary dew heater cannot plug into any of these because then it won't work. And the fans, one set of fans plugs in here, and the other set of fans plugs in here. All right, and then your Argo Navis. So that's how everything has to work with the box. Now, if you ever add another dew heater, say for the Telrad, or something else that you have an optical finder on top of the UTA, that's when you would use one of these 4 ports here. So something like that, or your filter slide, once the cable's on here, that will plug into one of these guys. So hopefully that's clear for everybody. All right, so I'm going to tip the telescope down a little bit so we can get inside the box. And what we're going to have inside the box are 2 of these batteries. All right, these are 12-volt, 7 amp hour batteries. Okay, they're rechargeable. This telescope's coming supplied with 2. I always suggest 2 if you're going to have this much going on. ServoCat, Argo Navis, all the dew heaters, secondary mirror, filter slide, all that. You really want 2 of these batteries. So now in order to get everything to work, you take these 2 plastic tabs off to protect the terminals. Now the proper way to connect the alligator clips to the battery is not like this, so they're laying on their side. You don't want it like that. Instead, the best way to do it is to get it so this rubber protector here gets bent back a little bit, and then you slide it on like that. So you want these sticking up. All right, now obviously red would go to red. All right, let's make sure we do that. All right, and then same thing here with black. Negative to negative. All right, so again, you're going to bend that back and clip it on. Like that. And then this battery will lay flat like this inside the box. The battery can't sit like this standing up because it won't have enough clearance for the, for the mirror box to swing over top. So the battery has to lay flat. So the battery goes in flat like that. Now that connects the Kendrick box that I was talking about earlier. In order to power the ServoCat, the go-to and tracking system, that's the second battery. All right, so again, these plastic tabs will come off. And here's another set, a second set of alligator clips. All right, and the same thing, like we said before, you want to take and bend the rubber back. Same thing with the black. Take that and bend it back and get it in there like that. And then again, this battery as well has to lay flat inside the box. All right, and then the two batteries will lay side by side inside the box. I don't know if we can get a close-up of how the batteries are situated inside the box. But as we can see, the two batteries are sitting side by side inside there. And you have everything connected. Everything now has power going to it. I'm going to rotate the telescope around a little bit here. And we're going to explain the Markless Astronomics DSC stalk. Right, so that's this gizmo here, which has your Argo Navis attached to it, and the hand controller for the servocat. Now, what I usually do is, you're going to have these cables sticking out of the rocker box. Alright, these I stick in here just to keep them out of the way when the telescope's in transport so they don't get crushed or damaged. But you want to take those out. You want to loosen this guy up here, and then the DSC stalk will plug in like so. And you want it in this orientation so that the open plugs are on the left side. And then we're going to tighten that up. Now, this is fairly easy. This connector, this is the power for your Argo Navis. This will plug in straight to there. You'll notice this says HC for hand control, which is this hand control up here for the servocat. DSC, that's the cable that goes up here, and that's already plugged in. And the ENC is encoder, and again, that also plugs in up here to the Argo Navis. And what you have are the same labels on here. This says HC. So HC obviously plugs into HC. This is going to be DSC. So that obviously plugs into DSC. Alright, and then this is encoders. The encoder one is the big fat plug, which is a little bit bigger than the other two. That one will plug in right here. And then you've now made all of your connections. Everything's plugged in. Everything now has power. The motors are ready and set to go, and you just need to engage the altitude axis and the azimuth, and you'll be ready to go to track. Everything would have 12-volt power now, all the heaters, everything we talked about down on this end of the telescope. And then we'll just make one more quick look up here at the top, and I'll describe how the dew heaters up here work. Alright, you're going to have this connector here, which is for your filter slide dew heater. Okay, and this one is connected directly to the filter slide here, which has a series of dew heaters on it. So this cable is coming directly off of that. This will wrap around. Disengage that. This will wrap around, and eventually, when there's a second cable here, that will plug into here, and then the 12-volt power will run down. To power your secondary dew heater, what you'll see up here is a plug, and then coming off of this cable from the truss pole is another. This is the female, this is the male, so they have to match. Please beware, the other end of this truss pole is also male, all right, in order to plug in down at the box. So it is possible that you could have this truss pole flipped and it would be in the wrong direction. All right, so just make note of that the female end of this cable on this truss pole has to be facing up so that it always can make the connection here. So you just plug that in, and that then brings power to your secondary mirror dew heater, which then has flat wire running across the spider vane and bringing power to the secondary mirror. So we just have some flat wire that's painted flat black running along that spider vane. So now everything should be set up. You should be ready to go and set to observe.